Continuing with prophetic nutrition, we are going to look at eating in moderation. Wa alaikum salam. In prophetic medicine, the underlying or most important factor when it comes to prophetic nutrition is based on the amounts of food that we consume. To eat food in moderation is highly recommended. And in today's time, we know that the order of the day would be the buffet meals, where we consuming food in mass amounts, mixing different types of food, having too much extravagant foods. And we know that this is the cause of many of our lifestyle conditions today: high cholesterol, diabetes, obesity, heart problems, etc. So we know the physical implications of overeating. But are there spiritual implications? And in preparing for the fast, we know that fasting is there in order for us to attain a higher level of spirituality. Is there a link between overeating and spirituality? Prophetic medicine teaches us that there is. Once we consume foods more than the recommendation, where the Prophet said that we should consume a third of the belly should be assigned to water, a third to food, and the third should be left for air. In other words, we should consume a third of the food that would fill our bellies, for that is enough for us to survive. When we go higher than the recommendation, so we eat more than a third of our meal or a third of the belly's amount of food, and we drink, in other words, when we eat to our full, we limit the space for breathing. This decreases our lung capacity. It has an effect on our respiration, so it influences the amount of oxygen intake. This leads to a lethargic, fatigued state. And in that state, our judgment, our intellect is clouded, so our decision making is not optimum. The writers of prophetic medicine adds another aspect to it. They said that when this happens and digestion is backed up, we find that the enzymes are released at a slow rate. It cannot cope with the body's intake of food, so it leads to indigestion. It leads to backup of the digestion and the formation of harmful substances which flows in the blood. And Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah in his book Tib an-Nabawi says that when harmful substances circulates in our bodies, then those negative influences are more powerful over us. Our negative thoughts, our negative emotions drives us towards laziness and greediness and excessiveness. And a lot of this is discussed also in the works of Imam Ghazali, when he writes about how the greed of the belly, it's the cause of all type of spiritual illness. Because he says that once the belly is fulfilled, one goes on to seek excessive in passions, so sexual desire, which leads to the want for worldly gain, which leads to the want for recognition, the want or the growth in pride, which leads to haughtiness, which leads to envy, etc. So he links all of these due to the belly, because once the belly is filled to its maximum, all the other types of greeds are introduced. So therefore we can see how fasting can actually be an antidote to this, and why it is that during the month of fasting we are actually more God conscious in terms of our prayer, in terms of sharing, in our etiquette, in our character, in our personalities. We find refinement, because excessive eating leads to destroy all of those good human qualities. And we know that in modern day medicine it's proven excessive eating leads to physical harm. However, in prophetic medicine we are taught that excessive eating leads to spiritual harm as well. So without a doubt, prophetic medicine sheds light on the completeness of the human being. It sheds light on how to pay attention to all those aspects that makes us human. So it's not just about our physical well-being, it's about our spiritual well-being as well, because the two works hand in hand. In order for us to gain the maximum benefit of the month of fasting, of the period of preparing of fasting, the best tool to use would be moderation in eating. The best recommendation from prophetic medicine would be to curb our excessive want for food. And then when we follow this, we'll find that our body does need minimal amounts. And by doing that, we'll ease our digestion. And when we ease our digestion, it has an effect on our spirituality, it has an effect on our emotions, and it will ultimately lead to a benefit to our entire well-being.
Yo, Muslim.